Hey Paranormies! Welcome or welcome back to the light side of the paranormal. I'm Alice. I'm your ghostess today, and I'm going to be talking about Brian Weiss's past life regression video that has gone totally viral, and just sharing my experience with it. I say Weiss instead of Weiss because it reminds me of Edelweiss from The Sound of Music. Edelweiss, Edelweiss. Brian Weiss, maybe. So Jenna was actually the person that told me about this past life regression video, and Jenna and myself have had many discussions about how we wanted to go just a few hours south from where we live to Toronto, where they have people that will actually bring you through that past life regression in person. But obviously due to COVID and due to a lot of things, we have not been able to get out there. But thankfully there is this version of that experience that you can do from the comfort of your own home. There will be a link to Brian Weiss's video in the description if you wanted to try this for yourself. Sorry about the weird lighting. I've been trying to figure out how to film in my basement and not have horrible lighting. I put a lamp in front of me and instead it just looks like I'm telling a scary story with a flashlight under me. So sorry about that, but I hope that it won't turn you off too much and that you'll be willing to sit through this. I really appreciate you clicking on this video. So I'm not going to go through what Brian Weiss's guided past life regression was. If you want to see that, you can definitely watch his video, but I'm bringing you through my experience. So I had gone through all the steps and then had, you know, the part where he was like, picture you in the womb and things, which was very interesting because as a twin, I don't know if you knew that I'm a twin, but I'm a twin. So as a twin, I actually saw my twin brother with me in the womb, which was really interesting. And then to open the door, as he says, to the past life before that, I really didn't know what to expect. There was a part of me that was not skeptical that people have past lives. I am a believer in that, but just skeptical that I wouldn't be able to tap into that part of my brain and be able to truly deliver an experience to myself. But it happened, and it was so intense. Like most people, I got very emotional through this entire journey, and you know, it was a big deal. It was a lot. So he starts with telling you to look down at your feet. So I looked down at my feet and I saw like black leather ankle booties with like a very small heel and some like buckles across the front, which, hi, cute, but also it is a periodic piece of evidence. Does that make sense? Like people from a certain time period wore boots like that. So after I looked up from my feet, I started to look around me. Now at this point, what Brian was saying began to get a little bit sort of faded into the background. I was suddenly immersed in this whole new reality, and I really felt like I was there. It didn't quite feel like a memory. It felt more like a virtual reality situation, but it was all very familiar. I looked to my right to see a very old, beautiful house, and along the side of the house was a watermill, or water wheel it's sometimes called. Now that immediately gave away what time period this was and just how long ago this past life was. Now I don't feel like this was my only past life, but it was the one that I was most easily able to tap into at that time. Now the second that I saw that watermill or water wheel, I immediately started Googling like when were these popular and things like that because I really wanted to know. And it turns out that I'm really believing that this past life was set in medieval Europe. More specifically, I had this immediate claircognizance moment where I was like, this is in Spain, medieval Spain specifically. I would say sometime between like the 10th and 13th, 15th century maybe. Now in this past life, in this memory, this dream-like state, I lived in this little village, and it was a short walk to town where there was like shops and things like that. Now looking down at my hands and my wrists were showing. I was wearing a dress. Now I realize that some of these things bundled together may not seem all cohesive with the same century, and that doesn't quite make sense to me, but it's around the same time. So like I was saying about my wrists My wrists and hands were a darker complexion than I am right now, and in an effort to describe more what I looked like, and please, I'm going to preface with, this is not me trying to perform any sort of microaggressions or become offensive to anybody at all. This is just my way of trying to explain what I looked like. I sort of looked like Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I had really dark brown, curly, wavy hair. It was really thick. Oh, I wish I had that hair now. And I also had really dark eyes and a darker complexion. So in this moment in time that I happened to drop right into, I'm walking to town from my village. I saw my house with the water wheel, and I am walking to town. Now, suddenly, this woman, she's blonde, fair skin, runs towards me. And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is my best friend. I love her. I'm so excited to see her. She is so happy. She's smiling. She's so excited. And then I realized that this person's face looks exactly like my face in this lifetime. And this is really interesting because I didn't know this. Upon telling Jenna about, I'm really sorry for the ruckus, my dogs are playing with balls upstairs, but I was telling Jenna about how I was like really freaked out that it was my current face on this woman. And she said that it's often said when speaking about past lives that you will wear the face of whom you loved in your past life. You will wear that face in your current life. Isn't that interesting? So this is the person that I was like, oh my god, this is my best friend. Oh my gosh, I love this person. I didn't quite feel like there was a romantic connection, but definitely a sisterly bond. And yeah, it was really interesting to see that. So this girl, she runs up to me and she's urging me to quickly come with her, and she's grabbing me by my wrist and taking me with her, and it was a very exciting moment. So we got into town, and there was like a lot of stone buildings, like cobblestone roadways, and just a lot of hustle and bustle. There were people mostly on foot, like floods of people. Some coming this way, some coming this way, lots of foot traffic. We quickly turned down an alley and rushed up these big stone steps up to like a secret door on the top left side of a building. Unfortunately, that part of the vision came to a close. I didn't really know what we were doing, but I definitely felt like it was very hush-hush. Next, it flashed to who I was. I was a healer. I was sitting under a tree in this clearing, and like treating people's wounds with different elixirs and things that I had made. I was putting different plants in water and kind of creating these home remedies to really help people. And I was bandaging wounds, I was comforting people when they were hurt. I was a healer, which makes complete sense. My aunt, that is very spiritual as well, she often talks about how every woman in our family, we're all healers. And I've always felt like I am still to this day, maybe not in the same way, maybe a little more indirectly, but I definitely feel like that is part of my purpose in this lifetime as well, is just to heal people, to heal the world. As I was treating these people, you could just see there's this genuine smile on my face. I really felt like this was my life's purpose. I really felt like this is who I am, this is what I'm here to do, and I was very content to be in my element helping these people. Then it flashed to the end, where there was a lot of people kind of whispering when I'd walk by and talking amongst each other. There was a large portion of the population in my area that really didn't like what I was doing, really felt suspicious of my methods of healing people. And you know, I had made enemies. Even though I wasn't doing anything wrong, there were people that didn't understand and therefore made assumptions about my character. I was on my way home, walking through town, walking through those same cobblestone roads, and each person I'd pass by would look at me in absolute, utter disgust. Like they couldn't believe, how dare I walk near them, like that sort of thing. They really didn't understand me or my ways. A man wearing a black cape was walking towards me. So he was walking on this side of the road and I was walking this way. I was going home this way, he was coming into town. And the road, as always in this experience, was just packed. There were people coming and going, rushing through, trying to get where they're headed in a very timely fashion. It was like a personal space did not exist. It was a very claustrophobic feeling. So this man and I, we were kind of really close to each other through the hustle and bustle as we were coming and going. He was wearing a black cape. I specifically remember the cape. I don't remember a lot of what else he was wearing, but I do remember a black cape that came to about the waist area. And he had white skin and a very mysterious sort of man. And he was holding, I'm gonna stand up to show you, he was holding a dagger in his side here. So as he was walking, it was covered by the cape here. These are my notes. It was covered by the cape, and he was walking, and he actually went and stabbed into my right rib cage, just under my breastbone, and I just felt this warm, sticky liquid gushing out of my abdomen, gushing out of my rib cage. I was holding it. I could hardly breathe. I remember so vividly the feeling of the blade being thrust into me, and I was just begging for someone to help me, and no one would help me, and I fell on my knees and fell onto my stomach as I was holding myself, and everyone just was such in a rush, and they trampled me. They trampled me to death. I didn't bleed out. The stabbing had me on the ground, but I did not stand a chance against the crowd once I was down. And unfortunately, being trampled in this way was not uncommon back then. They stomped on me and stepped on me and ran over my body until I felt like I became so flat and became part of the ground beneath me. It was unlike anything I have obviously ever experienced in this lifetime. It was an experience that I didn't remember until I was put into this hypnotic state, and it was very emotional, but I didn't feel pain. I felt very sorry for my past self. I felt betrayed. I felt like, was there anything I could have done? Was this man someone that was hired to take care of me? Or was he someone who was an enemy of mine directly? I don't know. But I felt like when I looked at him, I didn't recognize him. So that leads me to believe that someone did not like what I was doing and wanted to put a stop to it and hired that man to kill me. And then I suddenly felt light. I didn't feel flat and heavy and stuck into the ground. I felt weightless. I felt limitless. And I floated up into the night sky, into the stars. And my spirit guide, I'm not going to say her name because I'm not ready to share that yet. It's something very, very personal. But this is a spirit guide that I would consider a mother figure that I have had this entire lifetime. So to see her in that lifetime as well, it makes sense that she has been with me for maybe all of my lives. I met with her in the stars, and she said to me in her very wise kind of tone, do not let that man make you give up your faith in humanity. Continue to heal the world with love and kindness until the end of your many days. This is only one lifetime lost, but your purpose remains. And I fully believe that because, partially because of how I was raised, but I've always felt like that. I've always felt, some may call it naive. There was a definite, huge period of my life where I was very naive to the fact that not all humans are good, but I just love people, and I just want to remind them that they are loved. And if someone is hurting, it hurts me as an empath, obviously, but also just So, and anyways, I'm getting on a tangent, but this all kind of connected dots for me with the way that my personality is in this life. And I always think that I knew that that's what my purpose was. So it was just really cool to have everything come full circle and find answers to questions I didn't even know I had. In a side note, I have had nightmares my whole life, like recurring nightmares of being stabbed and remembering what that feeling was like. I just could never piece it together why I would have nightmares about that, especially because like I love horror movies, but I don't actually watch a lot of slasher flicks. I prefer like psychological thrillers and, you know, paranormal horror and like demonic possession movies and things like that. That really interests me. So yeah, just again, like having that validation of why I was having these crazy nightmares of being stabbed. This was such an intense experience, and yeah, so that was the end. And then I had come out of the meditation and back into my reality here. I definitely don't regret doing this past life regression. If this is something that you're interested in, I definitely recommend that you try it. It's quite easy actually to tap into that part of your brain you don't even know is there. And the only advice that I would give you if you are going to try it is please understand that you are not going to be in control of what you see. It may not all be, you know, beautiful and ideal and what you really hoped, but it will be real. And you will know it in your heart of hearts that that really happened to you. Do you believe in past lives? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you have any theories about what I saw during this past life regression experience? Have you ever done a past life regression? If it's a long story, please send us an email. Our email is in the description of this video, as always. But if it's a short story, please share it in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my story and to be open-minded to what I have experienced during this past life regression experience. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We often cover supernatural and paranormal topics, so if you're interested in getting spooky or getting spiritual, we're your girls. And be sure to click your notification bell so that you do not miss any chilling tales. Please like this video if you found it to be interesting. Feel free to share this video with your friends if you found this was like totally out of this world and you thought, oh my gosh, like my friends need to do this, my friends need to hear this person's experience so that they can be inspired to have an experience of their own. Please share and live your life with love and light. We'll see you next week. Bye!